Hello and good day, this is Austin Kooken, aka Captain Fanatic. Thanks so much for stopping by. I am releasing this after the holiday, so I hope that you're able to spend some time with friends and family and loved ones, and then you got all the gifts that your heart desired. This is video number 2 in a series of videos where I hope to showcase my collection of comics, comic cards, trading cards, Magic the Gathering cards, and kind of teach you a little bit about them, what I've learned over time, and what I've learned recently making these videos, and there's always so much to learn. It's insane how much information is out there. So I was digging around my collection vault and I came across a comic book collection that I haven't looked at in a while, but it is one of my favorites because it follows one of my favorite movie series of all time, and not a lot of people even know it exists. I'm pretty much going to guarantee you know what I'm going to be talking about because most likely it's in the title down below, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce it anyways. Don't tell me what to do. So today we're going to actually talk about the Marvel Comics Robocop comic book series. Came out with 23 issues in the early 90s, right after this.
Huh? I'm talking to you!
Drop it! Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
You're dead! We killed you! We killed you! We killed you!
The Robocop movie was released in 1987. It's what you might call a comedy cyberpunk superhero film. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven, who is actually the director for Starship Troopers as well. It was written by Edward Newmier and Michael Miner. So the movie starred Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, you had Kurtwood Smith, and Miguel Ferrer, to name a few. It takes place in crime-ridden Detroit, Michigan in the near future. It centers around a cop, Alex Murphy, who is brutally murdered by a gang of criminals on his first day out. It's kind of messed up. He was subsequently revived by a mega corporation called Omni Consumer Products as a programmed cyborg law enforcement unit they call Robocop. I wouldn't hold it against you if you didn't believe me, but even if you watched that clip earlier that I showed, the movie won an Academy Award for Best Sound Effects Editing. The movie was cited actually as being one of the best films of 1987. It spawned a franchise that would include merchandise. You had 2 sequels, a remake, a television series, 2 animated TV series. You had a television miniseries. You had video games, and then you had comic books, which that brings us to the point of this video here. We're going to start this off by doing kind of a quick history of the comic book series itself. Nothing too crazy, I want to keep it short and sweet for you. Following that, we're going to list off each comic book within the series, and then we'll see what kind of time we have from there. Like I was saying in the introduction, there were 23 issues in total. They were set on a monthly release schedule starting in March of 1990 through January of 1992. The stories told within these issues actually take place between the Robocop 2 and the Robocop 3 motion pictures. Entering a Marvel universe, although not the main superhero universe, but Marvel nonetheless, there's a futuristic setting was kind of set up with elements like gangs riding hover bikes. You had droids that were doing human things like logistics and waste management and things like that. And then, of course, you had the people with the know-how or the money can create giant killer robots. Because if I were a millionaire, that's what I want to spend my money on. A very interesting fact, actually, was midway through the comic book's run, there were a lot of fan letters that were sent out to Marvel saying, hey, this is kind of weird. It's too far in the future. Things like hover bikes and things like that were kind of not seen or wouldn't even be expected because Robocop takes place in the near future in the movies, not like the far future where those things were kind of a regular occurrence. So Marvel actually took their advice and they, kind of regressed and set it back a little bit in as far as those kinds of elements. But what makes it weird and kind of inconsistent is that one issue you'd have these gangs doing hover bikes and stuff like that, and then an issue or two later you'd have them driving regular motorcycles. Marvel also had to deal with some of those character misconceptions from the films. For example, the old man who owned OCP started the company from a very small company, grew to where it is now, was a really, really gentle guy, very caring wholeheartedly, and that was in the first Robocop movie, but in the second one, he becomes like this corrupt villain. It was just really interesting. So Marvel had to kind of deal with that and change those characterizations while writing the comics. So it was a little inconsistent, but again, it was fun. It made it very interesting. They did a good job, nonetheless, but I can imagine that they were kind of freaked out how it would be received, but they kind of had to do it so it was more realistic with the timing of the events happening in the films. The most consistent theme within all 23 issues is Robocop's continued struggle of trying to balance his humanity with the machine. This is, a common theme. In the movies, they kind of touch on it a little bit. But let's be real. The movie's all about the entertainment factor. The comedy, the action, the gunfire explosions, all that kind of stuff. But Marvel did such a good job at putting this on paper. They give you this like attachment, to RoboCop, and they kind of get you, thinking really deep. Is RoboCop Alex Murphy, or is Alex Murphy RoboCop? You know what I'm saying? Like they really touch on that. They make you root for the guy. You try to imagine that what would I do in this situation? Would I be doing it the right way like he does? If I know he has prime directives and all that kind of stuff, but he has to follow some sort of moral code, and that's kind of where his humanity kind of gets thrown into the mix. In the meantime, he's taking down street gangs, drug dealers, addicts, mercenaries, terrorists, cyborg animals, killer robots, OCP's corrupt employees, OCP's rival companies, foreign nations, more cyborg animals. It's hands down insane. This guy's trying to figure himself out while he's doing all this. You got to give him credit, man. That guy's a beast. That was kind of the story in a nutshell within the comics. Again, I wanted to keep it kind of precise, straight to the point for you, so I didn't waste too much of your time. So we're going to go ahead and get into the next section here when we start talking about the individual issues within the collection. I'm going to go ahead and turn our attention to issue number 1. This is titled Combat Zone with a K, and was published January 16th, 1990. Issue number 2 is titled Murphy's Law, and it was published February 20th, 1990. As we turn to issue number 3, it was published March 20th, 1990, and is titled Dreamerama. Issue number 4 is titled Dead Man's Dreams, and it was published April 17th, 1990. Issue number 5 is part 1 of a series called War, and it's titled Warmonger, and it was published May 15th, 1990. Part 2 of the series is titled War Crimes, and it was published on June 19th, 1990. Issue number 7 is titled Robosaur. It was published July 17th, 1990. Issue number 8, published August 21st, 1990, is titled Gangbuster. Issue number 9 is part 1 of a 2-part series, and it was titled Power Play, and it was published September 18th, 1990. Issue number 10 is part 2 of the set, and it's titled Rough Justice, and this was published October 16th, 1990. Issue number 11, published November 20th of 1990, is titled Unfinished Business. Next we have issue number 12. This is titled Purgatory. This was published December 18th, 1990. Issue number 13 was published in January 15th in 1991, and it is called Past Sins. Issue number 14 is titled Dreams, and this was published February 19th, 1991. Issue number 15, published in March 19th, 1991, is titled Ashes. And now we turn to issue number 16, and this title is TV Crimes, and was published April 16th, 1991. Now we turn our attention to issue number 17. This was published May 21st, 1991, and is titled Private Lives. Issue number 18 is titled Mind Bomb Part 1, and it was published June 18th, 1991. And then it was followed by issue number 19, Mind Bomb Part 2, published July 16th, 1991. Now we turn our attention to issue number 20, published August 20th, 1991, and it is titled The Cutting Edge. Issue number 21 is number 1 of a 3-part series titled Beyond the Law, Part 1. It was published September 17th, 1991, followed by issue 22, Beyond the Law, Part 2, October 15th, 1991. And then we have the final issue, issue number 23, Beyond the Law, Part 3, published November 19th, 1991. Now, as we're coming back from that clip, I actually forgot to credit the writers and the illustrators, pencilers that were involved in this project. So as far as the writers, you had Alan Grant, and I don't mean Dr. Alan Grant with Jurassic Park, I mean Mr. Alan Grant with Marvel. And then you had Evan Skolnick, and then you had Simon Furman. Then when you come to the pencilers, the illustrators, you had Lee Sullivan, and then you had Andrew Wildman. They did a fantastic job, and I can't believe I forgot to mention them. But of course, the issues and the collection wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for them. And excuse me, I actually forgot to ask, have you seen the Robocop movies? Have you read the Marvel Comics? If you have, let me know down below what's your favorite issue on the comics, and out of the 3 Robocop movies, which one's your favorite? And heck, while you're down there, you might as well click that subscribe button. You know you want to. I'm not stopping you. Nobody's stopping you. You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. And then you can also click that bell notification icon and be notified when I come out with new videos. And then click the like button if you liked what you saw. It helps a lot. It lets me know what you liked and what I can do creating content going forward. Hopefully I was able to shed some light on how Robocop is in the Marvel comic universe. If you're expecting a little bit more details about the individual issues or the information within those, please let me know. I would not mind making a video that had that content in there. But then to put that much content in one video, I was kind of afraid to overload you with information. So again, let me know if you want me to make that, and I definitely will. So I think I'm going to start wrapping things up. I actually have a lot of projects I'm working on, so I would expect you to see some content, some video releases coming out soon. If you are a fan of pop vinyl figures, I do have another playlist on my channel where I showcase my collection on those and kind of talk about them, have a lot of fun doing that. And if you are a fan of Marvel trading cards, my first video actually showcased one of my collections in that, and I have a huge collection in my arsenal, so keep a lookout for that as well. On that note, I really appreciate your time so much, in fact, that we're going to go ahead and stop wasting it. We're going to let you get going, and I want to end this off by saying to start connecting by collecting. This is Captain Fanatic signing off. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.